Hey guys, it's Two Guys in Hockey Talk. I'm Pawel, the cat Sigmund, and I've got my beautiful co-host,
Evan Rennert's nickname Revingev. By the way,
is that like your hashtag on Twitter or something? I've never heard you say that.
By the way, you can follow me on Twitter at Revingev, everything hockey, or you can go to Instagram, everybody's favorite, and follow Color Avenue, my buddy Pawel the cat Zygmunt, not because he's got Felix Potvin cat-like reflections, reflexes, but because he likes his cats.
This has been the best start to season 3, episode 40. Woo! 40. Woo!
Woo!
Right? Back
40.
to back.
Woo!
Back to back 40 episodes, right? Is that what the Tampa Bay Lightning did?
Come on, man. Hey, let's do it. Let's do it before we forget, because we're not doing very good to start. So,
no, this is fun. This has been enjoyable.
It's been enjoyable.
This is what free agency is all about. It's all frenzy. That's all it is. And we're just sitting back and enjoying it. So remember to like, share, subscribe. We're connected with the ASAP network. They're really cool. Check them out for all your sports needs. They've got basketball. They've got football. They've even got WWE and boxing and UFC. You get in there, you're going to watch some stuff.
They follow AEW as well if you're not a WWE fan.
There you go.
Hey, I got a quick question. If I want to follow cats, where do I go?
You want to follow cats? Have you seen any outside your yard? Like if you go kichi and bring out some like whiskus and stuff, I think maybe you'll be able to follow some cats.
Do you know there is a reason that I keep my stick on the ice? That way I can hit that puck so that I can get those cats out of my yard as fast as I can.
You see, I've tried putting on jerseys on my cats, but they just growl. So it tells me what team not to cheer for.
And so I take it you're not a fan of the Florida Panthers, eh?
No. Evan, we have a crazy great show for you guys tonight. We got a lot of things to talk about. Free agency. You've posted your top 15. We're going to chat a little bit about that in a moment. Kind of go into it. Some news around the NHL. You know, the draft is coming up tomorrow. It should be exciting. So we kind of want to know what your thoughts are on it. Okay, I'll let you talk. I'm going to shut up now.
No. So can we do, first time ever, a top 5 mock today?
Sure.
Okay, so guys, we're going to throw this at you. We don't have it written down. I haven't actually made a mock draft this year. I got to be honest. I was going to say, I'm going to get everybody together, blah, blah, blah. Get nothing, during COVID, and now nothing again. I feel awful. I normally bring people over for steak dinner, big draft party. Didn't do that. And the truth is I canceled my cable. So you're going to have to send me some type of link to get the TSN draft party tomorrow. Send to me privately because we know that not everyone's allowed to do that.
I don't know if we want to announce that we watched that. We legally pay for NHL Pass.
I
promise.
I absolutely do every day, every evening.
We're still waiting for that sponsorship deal. If the NHL can get it, why can't we? Or if TNT and ESPN can get it, why can't we?
So this was so funny. So Brian Lawton was on with Bob Stauffer on the Oilers Now. I don't know if you actually heard the piece. And they were talking about analytics, and he says there's 2 sites that he would go to. One site was legal, that is out there for everybody, and they used it a lot. And another site is not so legal. And he says, and we used it all the time.
Is it cap friendly or Puckpedia? Because cap friendly is really good, and I know some teams have referred to it, and they're really good about doing it.
But it was special analytics that's used of NHL teams of every hockey game. So they're using footage they're not supposed to be using because they don't pay for the rights to it. And Brian Lawton's like, yeah, we used it, and he laughed. And he goes, I'd still use it. Okay, man.
All right. Our top 5 draft, we're going to do it as if we were there at the table. But if you guys want to participate with us, write down your thoughts of the top 5, top 10, top 15, however many you want in the comments section below.
But do not go ahead of us. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to pretend right now we're live. We're ready to get up. And we're going to have 2 different mocks. It'll be Pawel and myself. Throw your name in there. And let's be able to see. So let's have some fun. By the way, if you think your team's going to trade out of that spot, let us know where it is. So Pawel, I am not ready for this, but you know what? No time better than right now. So, buddy, you're the Montreal Canadiens. You're drafting. You're going to step up. Walk us through this.
Whew. Well, we'd like to congratulate the Colorado Avalanche on winning the Stanley Cup, and thank you, Montreal, for hosting the draft. I pick Shane Wright. I'm sorry. I have to.
Oh, and where's he from? Okay.
Oh, he's
Now,
from the London Knights, isn't it? Or am I mistaken? What team does he?
Guys, what team does he play? Because Pawel knows absolutely nothing about hockey.
Nothing.
I think he's the Kingston Frontiacs.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
you watch.
Nothing.
Hey, you watch. I may know nothing right now either, even though I've been following for the last 3 seasons.
So you're up as the Montreal GM. You're Ken Hughes. You're going up to the podium.
I've got a drink
with a beer in your hand. You clearly are ready for the day.
And I'm sitting here going, okay, I'd like to have fun and come and tell you and say that I'm going to call Gary Bettman up to announce that there has been a trade, but we know that never happens.
It never happens. It happens. It just
number one overall.
So early, not for
number one,
not
number one overall. And the last time, oh man, I was just reading. If you guys know when the last time a number one overall was traded, I think it was the Atlanta Thrashers, I believe. And what they did. So get this.
Eric Lindros was traded, even though he was picked up by the Flyers, number one. But he wanted to get out. So. Kind of, I
1990.
Guess.
So anyway, the Atlanta Thrashers, I think it was 95, 97, around there, was the last time. No, maybe it wasn't. It was even earlier than that. So anyway, doesn't matter. You guys put it in if you know. Listen, what they did is, I think it was the Atlanta Thrashers. They decided that they traded and flopped picks so the other team could pick. But instead of drafting first overall and say, we'll make a deal with you. We won't pick your guy. We'll let you take this guy number one overall, but we'll let you take him number two. They decided to be able to flip the pick, and this is the rumor behind why they went in the number 2 slot instead of the number 1 slot, and instead of just saying we won't take that guy, is because they wanted to pay their guy less, because the bonuses are less for a number 2 than they are for a number 1. So I don't even know who that was.
You sound like you're Eddie Livingstone here, not wanting to pay anybody or any player.
Okay, so I'm going to step up. I'm Jack Hughes, and I say I am proud to announce we select number 1 overall at the 2022 NHL entry draft. No. By the way, there is a Jack Hughes that's going to be available this year. Don't get confused, though. Now, I believe he is his nephew. I believe he might be his nephew. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just heard rumor of this just in the last week here, so correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong a lot tonight. I'm drinking a bit. So anyway, I select Shane Wright of the Kingston Frontiacs.
Why is it that when we're off air, you're always right, but on air, you're always wrong? It seems to be a conundrum, right?
All right.
So you're saying that you're going with who?
Who am I going with? I'm going with Shane Wright.
I promise this is water. This is not liquor.
I don't know what's going on here. Who spiked my
I missed your pick. I'm sorry. I was in my zone picking who my next person is, and I did not pay attention.
I picked Shane Wright. Right. Okay.
For number 1? No, but number 2. You're going up for number 2.
Oh, no, I didn't go up for number 2. I can't stay up there.
I thought you were picking number 2.
No, okay. It's your turn, New Jersey. You're up.
All right, New Jersey. Well, I go up, and I trade my pick.
Whoa!
And I trade it to the Boston Bruins, who are looking currently for a top first-round pick right now. And what do they give up? They've got some big things that they give up Jake DeBrusk.
Whoa!
Their 56th pick.
Okay.
I think they're picking 56th or 53rd, I believe.
Okay.
So not even until like the 2nd or 3rd round.
Okay. And who else?
One other prospect that they probably have in Providence.
That's all they're paying to get up? They're paying Jake DeBrusk?
Pick? Yeah.
They're a prospect, they're 56, and Jake DeBrusk, who wanted out?
No, he doesn't want out. He's rescinded. He's rescinded his thing.
He's rescinded. Now trade him.
Well, it's out there in the
Okay.
universe. Listen,
Yeah.
this is
Okay.
my mock draft.
It
I'm New
is.
Jersey here.
And you can be totally right about your mock draft.
I'm pretty sure that they want to trade their second round pick. Sure. I mean, I don't know the entire prospect pool for Boston, so you guys can comment below. Mike Smith would know best, but who would you give up? But Boston would want to trade up, and they want to be in the first round.
Mike Smith. I think everyone thinks you're talking about the about to go on long-term injury.
Nobody knows who I know as a connection. Maybe it is Mike Smith. Maybe he's so injured he's on so many medications after that playoff run that he's telling me these things.
Oh, by the way, I didn't start our clock today. I better start now.
That's okay. All right, who are you picking? I've created a wild mock draft that is terrible. No one's gonna like. So, who's your number 2? New Jersey.
All right, New Jersey steps up.
Tom Fitzgerald. Give me your insight.
You know, we're sitting here going, and they're just reeling around Logan Cooley. Are they going to take him? They're trying to make a debate around this. Do they go with the flash on wing and Matthew Savoy and do something surprising and come in? Nope. They play boring. They need a big winger, and they take the guy who's been rumored to also be in first, Jurek Slavkovsky. Jurek Slavkovsky. I can't say the first name because I've had a little too much.
That's fair. Good choice. Good choice. So he stays in New Jersey. That pick doesn't get traded. Okay.
No, he's staying. They're going with the big boy on wing. Can I mention? I just want to go. I thought I was going to pull up his numbers. People talking about Slavkovsky. So I pulled up his career numbers. So I want everyone to catch this. That when he's played anything in his years, where he's played over 20 games in a season. Okay. In a season, he's had 1.91 when he was playing in the U16 for Czech. The only other time was in international play. He has only 0.43. And international junior, though, he was able in 29 games to put up 1.07. And when he was in the U16 Slovakia, he did play another year there where at 23 games he had basically a 2.3. That's the only times. This last year he played over 50 games for all these different groups. This was his best year. I don't know why people are raving over Slavkovsky. I actually would, just so I'm putting him there as a long-term player for what he's going to produce. It's just like Line started really strong but kind of fell back, and he's big like him. And I think because he's so big, they're hoping he doesn't have the stats early on in his life, and I think that they're feeling he's going to convert. But I see him as maybe a 60 to 65 point player in the NHL, but he's going to be that big winger. He will be that big winger. Everybody wants that guy to be complimentary, right? So,
100%.
anyway.
And he also made comments, I think, in the last day or so that said if he's not going to go first, he's going to score a lot on that team that doesn't take him first.
Oh, hey, I just realized. Who the heck is Boston taking second overall?
I know I didn't say that, so I'm going to say Jurek Slavkovsky because that's a perfect Boston player. Is it not?
That's a good Boston player.
Right? That's your prototypical Boston player, and they need a rebuild. They need to – I mean, who knows what they'll give up? I mean, yeah, like, you know, maybe it's Taylor Hall again. He gets moved once again. I don't know, like another first-round pick getting moved. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You guys can tell me how wrong I am, and that's fair. I know nothing about hockey, but I think Boston would pick up him if they were in second. I still think if New Jersey doesn't trade their pick, which I feel like they will, that's what would happen. But this is my mock draft.
I got to let you know, I just checked Taylor Hall. He's got a modified no trade clause and a no movement clause. So he ain't going nowhere.
Oh, and he played in New Jersey before, so he would return to his roots.
And he didn't want to go back there. He didn't want to go back. He didn't go back, so he didn't go back. How do I know he didn't go back? Because he never went back.
He went to Buffalo for he went to Arizona and then he went to Buffalo.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But they were rumored to want to actually pay him more, and he still didn't go back. I don't know whether it was true or not. Okay.
What's that show? Traveling Wilderberries, the Traveling Taylor Hall.
The Traveling Taylor Hall. All right. Number three, Arizona steps up to the plate. Okay, so now do you want me to go since I cut in on yours?
Is it Arizona? I thought it was Seattle in third.
Okay, I didn't pull up in front of me. I thought this was automatic. Let's get what is the NHL draft rankings, guys? We were not prepared. You can tell it's today. Okay. Sportsnet draft prospect rankings. Where's the selection? Come on, we need the selection.
I got it. Okay, so number 3 is Arizona. Yeah,
Oh, you make me kind of debate and think that I don't know.
I told you I know nothing tonight. And
Okay,
this is water.
tonight. But tell us about Siamese cats.
Well, there's Siamese and there's cats, and there's 2 of them, and they were in Lady and the Tramp, the movie.
Okay, all
And it
right.
was not a very good depiction of them. Disney had to remove that, but that's a whole different other discussion.
Yeah, that wasn't very politically correct.
No.
All right, let's do it. What do we got next here?
Arizona.
Arizona. Who are you pick? Oh, I'm picking. So it's my turn. It's my turn to step up to bat. Okay, so this one I think becomes pretty much a cinch. Arizona is looking for someone in the future. They got Dylan Gunther sitting in the wings, ready to probably start playing next year. They're rebuilding. I think that they're going to go after Logan Cooley with the 3rd overall pick. And I think now I'm not trying to go based on my rankings, even though it's looking like it right now. But I think they want Logan Cooley. He's an American, and he's been committed to NCAA next year, which allows them to have not as good of a player playing next year still, and then potentially have a chance at the sweepstakes. Because I think a lot of teams don't want to win too much next year if they have a chance to be in the Mishkov Bedard sweepstakes.
So I'm going to go off the board here and say David Juracek is going to go to the Arizona Coyotes because they're going to continue to bolster their defensive core. They have a good young core coming up, but they want to better it, especially with the rumblings of Jacob Trickering going out and potentially being moved. Maybe, maybe not. He's on a good contract. He could be potentially your future captain if you keep him. But I really think that Arizona's trying to go. I mean, maybe Simon Nemec, but it's hard to say. But Juracek's just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And he's got a bit more size to him. So I'm wondering if they're going to go for a defenseman. That's where I'm predicting Arizona would go.
So I think it's point that for Juracek, everyone understands. Last year he played in the Liga. So that was where Pujärvi played with the men's team. And in 30, so last year in his 31 games, he had 10 points. Doesn't sound over the top. Interesting, he had 33 penalty minutes, so he actually gets a few penalties here and there. But the guy's 6'4" and 218 pounds. He's the same size as Slavakovsky. So
I said, a defenseman. I feel like he would go ahead of Nemec, but that's just me.
Yeah, no. Okay, man, let's do
Number
it.
4,
Seattle, I believe. Woo! All right, so Ron Francis, he's always surprising us. He's always got something to talk about. Now, I am going to now go off the grid just a little bit. To me, this guy was ranked much higher in the season. He fell back. I believe it's because of size. But Ron Francis, who was never a huge man himself, but he was very skilled, very smart, high hockey IQ, looked to step up from around the 7 to 9 ranking. And I think number 4 overall, Matthew Savoy of the Winnipeg Ice of the WHL will get drafted by Ron Francis.
Bold.
Yeah.
Very
If
nice.
if you look at his numbers, look what he put up when he played junior, when he played he played in the United States USHL. Man, the guy is fabulous. So, all right.
Well, because I went off the grid for my 3rd pick, of course, Seattle's not going to give this up because they're going to be like, how did he fall to 4? Logan Cooley is going to go to the Seattle because they're going to continue to want, players that are up front and skilled. I mean, they're going to go big fish hunting, but they're going to want another forward that they can develop to play in that system. Even though I know they'll probably focus on defense as well. If he falls to 4, they're going to want Logan Cooley.
Yeah, that would make sense. If he was still sitting there in my mock, then he probably would have been the guy that I actually would have moved to. Very good call. Very good choice. Love it, man.
Number 5. We finally got on track. It only took four picks each.
Okay, who's up at number 5?
It is the Philadelphia Flyers.
Oh, the Flyers. The
Yeah.
Flyers of all people. Okay, so when the Flyers are looking, they're looking and they're searching because they're in a rebuild. And so when they're coming,
Are
they could
they
are well, they never think they're in a rebuild, but
retool maybe? Let's
oh,
ask Jamie
retool.
Vasco. He would tell us best.
Okay,
He knows
Jamie.
that team inside out.
Yeah, if you're watching, make sure you comment. We need your input to figure this one out. Okay, so when this one comes in, one of the things that these guys are looking at is they are looking at defense, and so this is where I believe, because I have not picked him in this spot, I believe he's a good placement for them. I believe they're going to pull in all 6'1", 192-pound Simon Nemec, defenseman, who last year in Slovakia put up 26 points in 39 games with the men. Excellent choice, and I think he would be a perfect fit in Philadelphia at number 5.
Well, what is still my thunder and read my mind? Because that's literally what I was going to say, but you beat me to the punch.
I thought you already took Simon Nemec.
No, I said David Jiricek.
Oh, okay. Well,
I said it was either or, but more likely David Jiricek because he's bigger, and that's what Arizona wants.
yeah,
Man,
totally.
we are not on sync today, or in sync today. On sync. We're not on sync. You guys can comment how terrible we're doing tonight, but also how amazing we are.
Yeah. Interesting enough, so I just want to make mention that if you look at my 2022 Revs Top 15 NHL draft prospects, you'll see the only guy I really pulled out of the top 5 in the mock is Jiricek. I actually think in the real time that you're going to look at Matthew Savoy going a little bit earlier, but Jiricek's going to be one heck of a player, I still think, in the NHL, though. So, well, man, hey, I just want to do a quick look back here. So think back to some years back, the Young Guns. So the Young Guns, when they were playing in the All-Star game, remember when they did that back in the day? The Young Guns? Could you imagine the year when they came in over a 2-year period? They had Tyler Seguin, Jeff Skinner, who was the top of the league then, Adam Henrique, Gabriel Landeskog. They had Jake Gardner, who was moving it for the Toronto Maple Leafs back then, Logan Couture, and Jordan Eberle. That was a Young Guns team. Like, that was amazing. Could you imagine some of these players in about 3 to 4 years? Excuse me, man, I don't know if it's this or what it is. But in 3 to 4 years, you could have some of these players that we're mentioning in this year's draft actually playing in their own kind of Young Guns. And I say, bring back the Young Guns. Bring back the Young Guns. It's more exciting to watch these younger players play than I think some of these guys who have been around for years in the 3-on-3.
100%. I think it's very fun because there's so much electricity. There's so much unfeatheredness to the way they play, right?
And I want to say, get rid of the 3-on-3 tournament. I'm tired of it now. I don't want it in the All-Star game. No more 3-on-3. Do the Young Guns 3-on-3 and allow a regular NHL All-Star team to play West versus East. That's it, man. That's what I want to see. Give it back to me. Give it back to me.
I'm going to rescind my trade idea because I just thought of something better for number 2. It's just been bugging me. It's in the back of my mind. So what does New Jersey need and what have they been after? A goaltender, right?
Oh, yeah.
What does Boston have? They have
Jeremy Swayman?
Yeah. He's a young guy. He's got 1 more year left. He's had a good season because he's a rookie.
Sign and trade, though, you'd have to do.
Well, he's got 1 more year left, but you get him into New Jersey, and New Jersey can fill that out in the system.
Is he an RFA or a UFA? Because they're not going to trade for an
RFA.
Oh, there you go. Gotcha.
So, New Jersey needs a goalie. Boston wants to be in the top draft, and you throw in something else like a sweetener if you need to. Maybe a Jake DeBrusk for the second round pick. Maybe it's a little bit of an overpayment, but
interesting. I like it. Okay, man, let's talk about what's going on right now because there's going to be some trades coming up here potentially.
It's the calm before the storm. There's potentially a lot of signings happening. There's some rumblings all around the league. It's very quiet, surprisingly, so far. There's been a few minor signings, which we've noted on our Facebook page. So make sure to check that out. Give us a follow. I don't know. Where do you want to begin?
Okay, well, let me throw some stuff out. And this is all hypothetical, everybody, tonight. If we've heard something from somewhere, we'll tell you we've heard it. Or if it's only like a single person here, but if it seems like where there's smoke, there's fire, we'll tell you. But right now, some of the stuff we're going to have fun tonight, like the mock, and we're just going to kind of do our own investigation and get some ideas. John Gibson, does he leave or does he get traded? And where does he go and who could pick him up?
He can't leave. He can't leave.
Well,
he has to be traded.
Did I say leave or get?
Did I say you said he'd leave or get traded? He can't leave. Anaheim has him under contract.
Tonight, I know absolutely nothing about hockey.
We're good.
Okay. So, does he stay or does he get traded? And if so, who's going to be trading for him, and what do we think is the package?
I think he stays one more year to see where Anaheim's at, depending on what moves they make this offseason. I think they got a new general manager just recently, right after Bob Murray had to step down. So he probably wants to see what's going on. He's still got a little bit of time. It's an up and young coming team. There's a lot of prospects there. You know, you got Max Comtois, Sam Steele, Trevor Zegras is there, like really,
Jamie Drysdale.
Jamie Drysdale is really going to get a look. I know you got some veterans like Kevin Shattenkirk, and now, their captain Getzlaf has retired, but they're going to try to do some stuff. They have Adam Henrique there still. I'm wondering if he's on the block, but I think Gibson stays. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually think he does get traded because they are literally in a rebuild. I think they're going to go to him. I do think that his primary is to remain in California. So you need to be looking within the California or close area. And I wonder why. I wonder, could there be some fancy movement between them and the Las Vegas or the Vegas Golden Knights to get John Gibson in with Robin Lehner into Vegas? Totally hypothetical. I haven't heard a single word about this. I just got this feeling, and looking at the numbers in the area and what they would be open to, if they can move some money out and bring his money in, make their adjustments, and know they got two solid goalies to be able to go into this year with, I think there could be a movement.
I'm not going to say that's the craziest idea I've ever had because you've got crazier, but I respect it because Vegas is in on everybody. I didn't think they get Eichel, and here we are. So, and they just re-signed, I believe, Riley Smith, and they've got a few other free agents to sign. And I think they still want to trade Dadonov, or they did already.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So, it's Montreal.
Yeah. So, well, and I was going to say, could you imagine if Vegas still finds a way and they sign Evander Kane?
The rumblings is that Evander Kane is looking for $6 to $7 million at 6 to 7 years for his next contract.
Yeah, and it's the and it's the term. It's not the dollars. I think for teams, if he was saying to sign a 3-year or a 4-year, I don't think he'd have an issue. I think the issue is he wants term.
Is he going to be able to keep up his good behavior? Because he's been through a few teams with burned some bridges and had some difficulty. Is he able to stick around for that? And is the team willing to deal with that PR if, heaven forbid, it appears again, right? I mean, I always wish the best for everyone, and I know Evander wants, to fix his life up, and I applaud that. I'm just saying if things emerge again, that could be good, but that couldn't be good for people, but here we are, so.
Did you say it can't be good for people?
Well, yeah, I'm not thinking straight tonight, so this is coming from a man who has barely had any sleep in the last 2 weeks.
Hey, Montreal, you're talking about Montreal. Okay, I'm going to throw something out there. I think Montreal is going to make a push. There's been a lot of talk about them being able to get another draft in the top 10. So if they can get into that top 10, so we need to think through this process because right now they are set to draft number 1 and also number 26 overall. So right now they're around the 26. So that's going to give them, if they can take their 26. Now I believe they might have even 1 or 2 picks in the second. They have 2 picks in the second round. They have 3. So could they take their second round, a prospect or a certain player, add them to their number 26 overall, and trade with someone in that top 10. Let me tell you who's in that top 10. You ready? So the top 10, they're not getting into me the top 5, the ones that we called out. So
Yeah.
I think they're looking at 6. They could trade potentially with Columbus. I could see that if Columbus feels they can pick up some more picks, just because they're still in a rebuild. Ottawa, could that be a potential if they can get a good player they think out of Montreal to be able, and then still pick up some guys because they got some good draft picks already in the go. Detroit, never say never to Detroit, but I don't think Detroit's gonna. They're ready to now start hitting it, and they've hit really well on their drafts with Yzerman. Buffalo, Buffalo could be that spot. However, it's going to be last minute because if Buffalo can get Matthew Savoy, they're going for him if he's still left.
Well, they're 16th, so it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Oh
And
no,
then,
ninth. Yeah, sorry,
ninth, exactly.
And
And then the Ducks at number 10, right?
Yeah.
So could they? So if there's anyone they're going to trade with, I think you're looking at mostly the Ducks, Ottawa, or Columbus if they're going to be able to get in. Or I could, and if a player drops, I could see them maybe doing something for 11 or 12, and that would be with, say, San Jose or the other Columbus pick. Because Columbus has 2 picks. You know what? I forgot Columbus had 2 picks. So they're at 12. Yeah. So they're at 6 and 12. So I could see them giving up their 6 because they still got the 12 and pick up some good prospects and a couple more, good draft picks at 26. So that this might be a good move for Columbus to make a move with somebody, at least if not for their number 6, maybe then they're giving up their number 12. Yeah, some good stuff.
What do you always say about draft picks? They're kind of like fairy dust until they're actually materialized.
Yeah. So this is what I will say. Really, if you're not picking, there's a reason that I created the Revs top 15. As opposed to
your Rev, and you wanted people to know your top 15.
The reason is everything's fairy dust after 15. Really, I mean, within that top 15, there's a good chance those guys are all playing. Generally, and you know what? I've never actually looked at the data on this. I'm just going by just recent memory. And Mike Smith, we got to bring him on maybe in the September. Mike, we'll get you back on. Let's talk about some of these drafts and who's got drafted. But I'm pretty sure your top 15, you're probably looking at around 60 to 65% of those players become legitimate 300 game or more players in the NHL.
Solid depth guys, yeah. No superstars, but really strong players.
All that, like, regardless in those percentages, right? And then your superstars or whatever percentage. But if you think about it, really, if you're at the end of the draft and you can move up into that top 15, especially the top 10, you're going to do it. Frankly, I don't want 2 second-round draft picks. I would take, if you have a first round, right, I would always do whatever I could to move up into that top 15 every year because you're so much more guaranteed a good shot. I'd give up, say a 20, or I'd give up a 27 overall with my 40th overall and a prospect that's not going to be going anywhere for me in order to get another one, say at 14 or 12. I would do that. And then for my extra prospect, I'd go search Europe for different guys that didn't get drafted. I'd get my research and development over there. And then I'd also go into the NCAA routes and look for those possibilities. That's what I would do, man. That's what I would do.
Fascinating. So then Jack Campbell, does he stay in Toronto or does he go?
All right. You guys ready? Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Hey, hey. Goodbye, Toronto. Yeah, Jack's out of Toronto. They can't afford him. Now, this is not good news for Toronto because you guys, who do you replace him with? Who can you get? Because you've got to afford them. So the only thing I can think of, Pawel, is because they have a very good team. Is there a good possibility they're going to take a chance? And the best chance to take right now is Husso. So I wonder if they could pick up Husso at any possible way to be able to go into this next year. But I don't know.
There's been rumblings that Marc-Andre Fleury is interested in going to Toronto for 1 year.
Yeah, and I actually think that's fabricated by the Toronto media. I can't see that. I just can't see that. I do
Toronto
not.
media fabricating something? Get out of here.
So I'm going to stand on this. As much as he is an Easterner Canadian, he has no interest, I believe, in playing in any Canadian city. This has nothing. It has to do about taxes and money and the lifestyle. I think he likes the American lifestyle.
Okay.
So that's. I think yeah. I don't see him wanting to be in that kind of limelight.
Yeah.
Not at
Now
this
the
level.
now the other team that I kind of wanted to pick your brain about because I know you're a fan of is there's been rumblings about Chris Letang, although nothing's done yet. He's most likely staying in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. There's not been a lot of dialogue with Malkin. Do you believe Malkin is staying in Pittsburgh or is he going?
I think he's gone. I think he's gone. They're
And where is he going?
So the only two places that are getting mentioned, and they're places because Malkin's not going to go somewhere he doesn't have a chance to win. Though it's not just about money,
Yeah.
and is like you've talked about, and maybe you will be right for once. Can he end up in Florida? You said he had a home there, or he
Yeah,
went
yeah, he has an
vacation, or
off-season summer home there.
yeah.
Yeah,
I could see him there, and there is one possibility, and we talked about it with Backstrom out. Could he sign? I know it's their arch enemy, but could he sign in Washington and play with Ovechkin and a bunch of the other Russian gentlemen? Especially during a time where all this war and Russia and stuff, would you not want to feel supported more by being with more people from your community? You don't support the war, but man, it can be hard feeling isolated when people look at you, say things to you. Yeah, I mean, I could be totally out to lunch. This is just my take. But there's nothing about him signing. There should have been by now. There really should have
yeah.
been. I think he's waiting. He wants the window to be open. And Burke and Hextall. And by the way, Hextall and Burke don't play games. When
No,
they make a decision, they make a decision. Um,
yeah.
but Letang gets done. Letang gets
Well,
done.
and they have some other business to attend to. So I mean, they just signed Casey the Smith, so they have their goalie
Yeah.
tandem for next year, Yari and Smith. They have a few people on the back,
So
and they have to look into. They just re-signed Teddy Beluga, I think it
yeah,
was. That was a big contract. Crosby's coming up to the end, and I think John Marino is up. I think he's got to sign a new contract, if I recall, if not one more year. So definitely some choices. Now, the one thing I was wondering about, and maybe you can clarify, who do you think will go to replace as a center, apart from Malkin, in Washington, given that Backstrom's going to most likely be out for the remainder of the season? Could it be someone like a Kadri? I know Jeff Merrick suggested him going to Detroit, but there's Ryan Strome out there, Andrew Kopp, who can play center, but also on the wing. Would a Scheifele or a Wheeler be out of Winnipeg? I know there's been rumblings out of Winnipeg. What are your
yeah.
thoughts? Who could a center be to fill that Backstrom spot?
I think Washington, because they pretty much have what I don't have the numbers in front of me. What's Backstrom's range there? I don't I don't think they're going to give a 7-year deal to anyone who is 28 or older. I think that they're not looking for older. They're not going Blake Wheeler's way. Definitely see the Kadri. That
What about
definitely makes
JT
sense.
Miller? They're looking very heavily at JT Miller.
Yeah. So actually, I was just gonna say because that would be a trade deal, so you could take some money out because if Backstrom's back next year and you're able to re-sign Miller, right? Because he's only got 1 year. This might be if it's not overly. They're gonna have to pay a bit, but they're also in the win now. If they're gonna make another shot, they only got a couple years.
Backstrom's got 3 years left at $9.2 million.
There you go. So they have the room in the cap to move him in there. So yeah, I would say JT Miller would be your best shot. Or do they take a run at Kadri? But I'm going to tell you that his stats don't line up for a huge contract that people think. And only a team like Detroit or Seattle is going to go for that. I still think he ends up in Seattle. By the way.
Who, Kadri?
Yeah, I think he ends up in Seattle. Yeah, it might be something that they're worth just getting a guy to mentor. They like his drive. I think he's a Francis kind of player.
We want to make our fans in Calgary happy. So there's been an offer for 8 years by $9.5 million offered to Johnny Gaudreau, allegedly. Speculation here, and there hasn't been any word from his camp. Now, if you're Johnny Gaudreau's camp, do you accept that deal?
Woo! Well, you wait for the market just because you never get a chance again. So I
But
think
if you
they're,
like the city and you love playing there and you see yourself winning, like you indicated, how do you
yeah.
not go for that 9.5 as a
I,
winger too?
I think that right now the whole thing that we're hearing with all your insiders and everyone, it's all saying you don't have this chance often. So even if you get a 2 hour window just to listen to people for the first 2 hours, so the morning or the night before, right? Or not the night before. So I guess they start at what, midnight. They can start talking the night before or something. So I think that they need a few hours to listen just to make sure. He obviously has some thoughts because no one's given him more than 9.5, and no one can give him 8. Only Calgary can do that. So
Yeah,
if that's true, so this is my thought. I don't think it's true that it's 9.5 over 8, and the reason I don't think it's that because you got to remember he's 28 years old. He's a smaller player. I can't see them offering him that. I actually think it's a lower number, and if it was 9.5, I think he's signing it today.
I
That's
disagree because he's looking at wingers that make more than him. He's looking at a Mitch Marner who hasn't even had a 100-point season and makes what he does in the 11 million. He's looking at Artemi Panarin who's making in the 11 million as a winger. He's looking at some of the other guys, Kirill Kaprizov, who's just a little bit younger, but look what he got. Kirill Kaprizov just got 9.5 by 5, and I get that he's 24, but
yeah,
he got more, and
yeah, and you
he's
can't
only been
compare
in the league for
age.
1 year. So I think he's looking
Yeah,
at the $10 million
yeah,
range, and I think as a wing, or maybe 10.5. And I think he's saying, where can I get that? Maybe it's Seattle, maybe somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe New Jersey. Uh, you know. So
yeah.
I still think he's
Well,
gone, but that's just me.
yeah, and see, and I don't think that you can compare players that are younger at all because the cutoff when you're 28 years old and the way you play the game, he does not bring what Zach Hyman. So you got to remember, Zach Hyman is sitting there at 5.5. That's like what 40% less than what he's talking about. Zach Hyman can play physical. Zach Hyman is big. Zach Hyman doesn't deal with a lot of injuries. It's a
But
totally different
what's
game that he brings at the same age when he came over. Well, he was 1 year older, so he was actually 29. So here's my thing to actually look at someone like Goudreau, it's not good historically that so he's saying he's going to play till he's 36 years old. You're going to pay 9.5 million for a 33-year-old that very well by that time has been so worn down, so beaten, because he's going to have to play more of that inside game that he started this year, and he's going to have to continue that to be able to produce because you're paying for the production. But he's not defensive. He doesn't bring that part of the game, and I think it's risky signing an 8 year at those high numbers. I think it will hurt Calgary, and therefore, if I'm Calgary, I don't offer him more than $8 million. 8 million, but I give you 8 year term. Most places are going to give him 6 or 7.
I think you're just upsetting a lot of our Calgary Flame fans, including Bernie and your son-in-law. So I don't know if you want to go down that road, but I think I think there's I understand the merits to your argument. The thing is that we've seen players such as Joel Pavelski, Alexander Ovechkin, and I know these guys are great, but they've turned up their game in later stages in life, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I get that Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, they're still playing, but they're not as effective. They're on a third or fourth line
right.
role, they're depth guys. But you see some other guys who beat Father Time. Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin are still performing. Phil Kessel, he didn't have a good year last year, but this year is solid. But he's not playing on a line with elite centers. And no credence to Clayton Keller, right? But Arizona's not really known for its offensive prowess. So, when he plays on a good team, and Phil Kessel's another guy that's going to be potentially getting some money out there, but he's good for a goal. And so, in comparison to Zach Hyman, who is the power forward, who, can play in those corners and get dirty, and Johnny may not do that. Johnny also has a 100-point season. And the hardest thing to do in this league is score or get assists. And I think if you have that brings your value up,
It's fair. It's
right?
fair.
And
Yeah, no,
so, and I look at Panarin, who he had a solid year in what's it called New York, went far, scored big goals, and he's played last year too. But he's making 11 plus million. Same with Marner. Marner's a similar player to Gaudreau, I would say. small, fast. Granted, I believe Marner plays on the penalty kill, whereas Goudreau does not. So that does add some value. But Goudreau's camp can say, look at Marner, look what he got in Toronto. He complements the main guys, Lindholm
Yeah.
and, and Kachuk, and I'm helping things score. So I think he's still going to go for 10.5 million. Do I think he deserves it? I mean, if he believes that that's what he's worth, all the power to him. I'm never going to sell a player short for wanting the most bang for their buck.
Fair points, but Goudreau is like the second or third smallest guy in the NHL. He is not Panarin. Panarin is like Crosby size. These guys have like trunks for legs. I mean, their strength. Goudreau is good. Goudreau is fast. Goudreau is all those things. Great IQ. He has all those things. But to the wear and tear on a body for it's the term. That's the thing with him. It's the term. And I don't think some teams are going to give him the term. But I think he wants to test the market and try. So, hey, I do want to touch on something before we actually miss it. I don't know if everyone knows, but Bruce Gerich out of the Ottawa Sun has told people to keep their eye on Seth Jones, because with the rebuilding Chicago Blackhawks, he's saying that they hope to move his hefty contract. And he's just starting an 8-year deal with $9.5 million. But I am telling you, that contract, almost any team would be willing to go into that. So you can't dismiss this possibility. I doubt it's going to happen. I really doubt it's going to happen. Just because that contract can sound impossible. It's got to be the right team. But you really got to wonder. So Pawel, if this is you and you're Ron Francis, are you not bringing in Seth Jones?
Nope.
Whoa.
And you know why? Because you're going to go for John Klingberg. Just kidding.
All right. Well, hey, man, we're starting to run low on time. We don't have a lot of time to touch in on stuff. Let's touch in on what's going to happen. You talked about the Jack Campbell situation over in the Toronto area. Also, Mikheyev, he looks like he's gone.
Sergachev and Sandin.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen with him?
The Toronto fans, man, what's your thoughts? Where are they going? How's he going to manage this cap? Now let's move over to the other side of Canada, over into Edmonton, because there is a lot of smoke. And as we say, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's creative financing. So everyone thought Mike Smith was told, let us know what's going to happen by July 1st. Duncan Keith, everyone's saying, no, Duncan Keith still got a year. It's only $1.5 million cash. But, they're not going to. Has there been something behind the table? There was talk, we said last week, where could someone trade him out, buy him out, and then Edmonton re-signs him at $1 million or $1.5 million. All this different stuff. Who knows? But he hasn't let them know yet. Now the talk is starting to look like he could end up going into retirement. Or is there an injury that was not disclosed? He'll be in LTIR for his final year. Sounds like Smith is. They're needing a goalie, obviously, to go into. There's talk around Jack Campbell, Billy Husso, John Gibson was another name. And then also there's the whole thing on Puljujarvi. Man, throw some thoughts at our way. What do you think's going to happen? Our other fans are wanting to hear.
I think Puljujarvi is going to get traded, even though it's a silly idea, because he's a great depth guy. You picked him up. If both organization and Puljujarvi want to change, I can understand why. That relationship has been strained before, and if it's strained again, if he's looking for a top 6 role, he's not going to find it here, even though he did benefit. And, analytically, he's a darling where he benefits. I think Evander Kane is the big question, and there's been rumblings that if they can't get Evander Kane, Claude Giroux is next on their list, another power forward, which is interesting because I guess Elliot Friedman said that after this year, a lot of teams and players are looking at Edmonton differently, and that they could be cup contenders given what Connor and Leon Draisaitl did in the playoffs and ended up with, the scoring titles in the playoffs and being only out in the 3rd round in the conference final, and being 1 or 2 moves away from potentially competing for being Stanley Cup favorites. And really, they need a goalie. Jack Campbell's on their list. Husso's on their list. They're probably going to try to get a UFA goalie, albeit you're going to have to overpay unless Ken Holland, as you talked about a few weeks ago on our show, so check it out. Olympic gymnastics around the cap and do some kind of three-way trade with some other teams where they can bring in another goalie, because there's a few other teams like New Jersey, Buffalo, looking for goaltenders.
Yeah.
And they want to stabilize that back end, right? And there's only a top handful of goaltenders who are elite in this league that can get you to the finals and give you that save. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Interesting about the Giroux thing coming in, because everyone thought that he didn't want to go to Colorado last year at the deadline, and he was looking. But if he's going to go anywhere, he's going because he's looking for a chance to win. It sounds like if Edmonton is considering that possibility, if they are, that means they're probably thinking to give him a 2 or 3 year term, because he'd want a few years to be able to play.
He's a little older. I think he's 35 or 36.
He's 34. He's 34 years old. And just so it's important people knowing, he's still producing at a .85 per game. So he would be the third best player on the Edmonton Oilers. He would be scoring pretty much and bringing up points about the same rate Evander Kane did, except bring something totally different. Remember, he is a centerman.
And at a cheaper price.
Yeah, and because you're talking probably between a 3 and a 4.5. 3.5, 4.5 million. I mean, at that price, what they can do with that, if you're signing Evander at 6 over 6, let's just say, or you can get someone like Giroux for the next 3 years at, say, 4 million, or even 4.5, let's put it. And what he can bring still at that stage. I know he's a little bit older, but that experience. I mean, we remember when Philadelphia took out the Pittsburgh Penguins in the playoffs. Who stopped Crosby? It was Claude Giroux, just irritating the crap out. And the guy is tough. He knows how to play. And this could allow Draisaitl to play with McDavid, and or Giroux to play with McDavid or Draisaitl. That can still come into play. Let me just say this. I just want to say this. As much as I appreciate everything that happened with Evander Kane, I think Evander Kane, if you're just going for the money, okay, because whatever. But man, you're wrecking a great opportunity by not finding a way to take a deal and stay with this team. He has never fit with a team better in his entire life than this team. I know he's hoping still for a deal with them, but he wants the bigger money. But I don't think he recognizes if you want the goalie and you want the defenseman, you can't eat all the money. You're going to have to take a chunk out. And they can give you a much bigger deal. Heck, they've thrown out the big deals to a couple guys already. Why don't you go ahead and throw out the deals, keep the term longer and the price down? And if Edmonton is struggling in 4 to 5 years because they have too much term, and the guys, well, at least they had a 3-4 year run at it, right? That's my thought, man. Oh, and let me just say, the goalie I think Edmonton will end up with is Jack Campbell.
I think so too. I think he's going to come here, and for whatever reason, former Toronto players thrive here. Maybe because their media is just not as biased.
Oh, hey, quick question. Do you think Mark Spector is saying he talked to the Mark Liano, I think that's his name, the camp, the agent for Puljujarvi, saying that he wants a top 6 role? He's claiming that he spoke to them this time, and he's saying that they did want that top 6. That's what was reported before. And I got to wonder, why would not, now watch this, it did not look like in the playoffs McDavid and Draisaitl were very supportive of Puljujarvi. And it makes me begin to wonder, they're not going to say something publicly. I wonder if you don't have the backing of the players, he is an analytics darling, but I'm sure they're tired of giving him passes that he never can bury.
Yeah. I mean, the last time we had a player that, had a great season and then a poor playoff experience, we chased them out of town. Jordan Eberle talked about.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to keep chasing towns again. So what did the Tampa Bay do, and what did Colorado recently do? And even any team that went to the final, whether it was St. Louis a couple of years ago or Washington, they kept the core together. They kept those players consistently, and you work through those adversities. You talk about leadership. You talk about building together, working through that conflict and overcoming it. And if you can't, as a player, continue to get rid of certain players because, well, they're not good enough. There's some merit to that, 100%. That being said, but you have to learn to work through difficulty. And there are definitely teams, even successful ones, that there's tension in the locker room, but nobody talks about it because they win. And
Yeah.
when you win, you're happy. But when you
Yeah.
lose, it's much more prolific and the spotlight is on it. So in my mind, I'm sure players get under each other's nerves. I'm sure there's tension sometimes. But if you keep shipping players out because like, well, this person didn't do it. And, there's some questionable moves that Holland has made, but, maybe Bear wasn't a good fit in Carolina. Maybe, Caleb Jones wasn't the defenseman we expected him to be under that system in, Chicago. But again, you got to build a core and build around it and only minute little changes. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And I think reporters are going to report what they want to. People have their different sources, different areas that they know. I can't claim what conversations were had or not had. All I can say is that I personally, if I was the GM of the Edmonton Oilers, I would not get rid of Puljujarvi, and I would try to make it work, especially if the return is not going to be the same or less than what you got it for a first-round pick.
Yeah. I'm not letting him go for less than a first-round draft pick. Right? And when I say an equal player, like if you want to trade Capo Caco and we throw in a second-round draft pick with it for Puljujarvi,
we don't have. Oh, they have to throw it in because we don't have any second round.
No. I'm like, you could do next year's second round or something. You can come be creative.
I'm sick of us trading our second round pick.
Yeah, second rounds mean nothing. They're like fairy dust, right? Yeah, so anyway, man. We've gone overtime. We should have been 2 guys in overtime, as we always joke, instead of 2 guys in hockey talk. So when are we going to see that little half of guy?
Oh, I plan to show him off soon. I promise.
We only got 2 weeks left. So next week, free agency starts. We'll have one more discussion. And then we hope to end the last week around the 20th with Leah Hextall, first female play-by-play. Huh?
Are you already replacing me? Is that what's happening? You're already trying to bring in a new younger cast member to get with the kids these days.
Well, I'm looking for I'm looking for a better looking one that has less of a beard.
That's true. Better looking and knows actually something about hockey. As a baby, he knows nothing, and I know even less than that.
Well, and I'm also looking to bring someone who I can have more of a beard of than.
I guess you guys look alike. Yeah, barely any hair anywhere.
She has all the hair, I have none. So anyway, so then we hope to end our season with that, as well as give you a final update of all the free agents, and then that will be a wrap for 6 weeks, and we'll come back after the Labor Day for you guys. We'll throw updates and keep things on the site, and we hope to, I hope by September, to have a whole new look, a whole new design, a new plan that we're going to come at you guys with, bigger and better, baby, and on top of that, we're going to be working on putting up our first website. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. You can tune into us and all of our live broadcasts on our website, hopefully. So now, if you can send money to us, we would greatly appreciate. Okay, give me one last thought and let's do it.
I accept gift cards as well. I'm looking forward to free agency frenzy. I wish it was on Canada Day again because it's kind of a tradition, but I understand why it happened this year. And I'm just excited to see how many players get overpaid and how many fans overrate the other team's signings and underrate the ones that they have for their team.
Woo! And that's a wrap, folks. So on behalf of 2 guys and hockey talk, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice.
Oh, by the way, keep your head up. Cheers.